So when it comes to Dfinity, they've done this. What do I mean by that, even though nothing I say is financial advice? Did you know that Dfinity recently posted about something called CK Doge? Now, people may be thinking, who cares about this? But this is, of course, regarding something like Dogecoin in a sense. Let me explain what I mean by this. If we take a look at CK Doge, apparently that does bring new functionality to Dogecoin, at least in my understanding. And the CK part stands for chain key. So basically it's chain key Dogecoin. At least that's the way I take a look at it. But even besides that, allegedly it's a one-to-one native integration of real Dogecoin, but directly on the internet computer. Why does this even matter? Because first of all, if we take a look at it, it can now quite essentially become active capital in places like DeFi, for instance, not to mention integrated into on-chain apps. So it's pretty interesting. Furthermore, we take a look at CK Doge transactions are supposedly, allegedly from what I can read from their posts, they say 10 to 100 times faster and cheaper than, I guess, native transactions. So that I think is pretty cool. And personally, I think this right here could very well start somewhat of a new beginning, a new chapter when it comes to the internet computer. The reason why is because through this Dogecoin thing, I suppose, right, through CK Doge, I think this may open a new perspective when it comes to other memes out there. What do I mean by that? If we take a look at it, for instance, right, doesn't this indirectly showcase that ICP could very well become the bridge layer for memes to actually have more of a utility? Why not, right? I think this CK Doge thing really does showcase that. In a sense where, okay, maybe we see it with CK Doge as of right now, again, regarding Dogecoin. What happens if other memes follow? We're talking about Shiba Inu, maybe Bonk, maybe Pepe. We don't know, right? Who knows? If that starts and that creates like a snowball effect right there, it's not a bad thing when it comes to ICP. I think a lot of people out there have this misconception sometimes that if ICP has attention, but it's from like memes or whatnot, they think it's a bad thing. But I highly disagree with that actually, because I don't think it's a bad thing. Again, if anything, attention is attention at the end of the day. Popularity at the end of the day is popularity. You know, that's the way you take a look at it. For instance, me eating a sandwich, right? Does it really matter if I got it from Jersey Mike's or if I made it at home or if, let's say, I went to my friend's house or let's say it's like Subway or, you know, whatever, right? Jimmy John's, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, if it's good, it's good. Like, I love Jimmy John's, right? But if I make one that happens to be good, yeah, I don't mind myself, which I can't really make a good one, but I'm saying I don't mind. If my friends, you know, make it and it tastes good, it's good. I feel like good tasting food is good tasting food. Popularity is popularity. So when people like to say, oh, but it's coming from a meme though. But again, if it's still added popularity, maybe for something like ICP, I view it as a net positive. I don't view it as a net negative actually at the end of the day, but this is just my mindset. So I am not disappointed at all with what I saw right here, personally for me. However, people may be telling me, who cares about all this nonsense? Who cares about a meme? Well, Dogecoin is not just any random meme, right? First of all, it's currently ranked number 9 in the world in terms of market cap within this space. Clearly way bigger than ICP. We take a look at the dedicated following that has a bunch of holders. Furthermore, we take a look at just the presence that has overall. I get it. A lot of people like to say that Dfinity shouldn't be focusing on random nonsense, but if we think about it, through CK Doge, couldn't that hypothetically bring more fans over, right? More people who are often complaining that, oh, you know, Dogecoin doesn't really have a good use case. Some of them may take a look at stuff like this and through this maybe gain exposure when it comes to ICP in a sense where maybe now they know more about it. Why not, right? Dogecoin does not necessarily have a good use case when compared to ICP, but the reality is Dogecoin is just way more popular. So even though I'm a big fan of ICP and even though I don't hold any Dogecoin personally, at the same time, my mindset is I don't think it's a bad thing. If anything, it could only help, I guess, the future popularity of something like ICP moving forward, right? I mean, again, sure, people like to tell me that, oh, you know, this is complete nonsense, but I disagree because if a project is popular, at the end of the day, it's popular. It doesn't matter if it's a meme or if it's not. If it's popular, then it's popular, right? It's like, let's say, for example, a Ferrari is still a Ferrari. I park it outside or I park it inside the garage, it's still a Ferrari, right? So I don't think it's a bad thing whatsoever. I think this right here could have, you know, pretty positive implications maybe for the future of ICP. So when people like to tell me, oh, ICP's below $3, who cares about this nonsense? Well, okay, sure. People like to tell me that, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's a bad thing overall. And a lot of projects are having a pullback. It's not only just ICP, even Dogecoin's having a pullback. But if the market were to hypothetically recover, and especially as of right now for those Dogecoin fans that see this, again, I don't think it's a bad thing when it comes to ICP. Why not, right? I just like the avenues that Dfinity is taking in a sense where, of course they're focused on, the enterprise side of things. They're focused on AI and all this, but sometimes, Dogecoin might be a focus too. I do find that to be pretty interesting. Furthermore, ICP is having a slight pullback, but at least in the past 30 days, it has had a slight recovery of around 11%. Again, not the best out there, but I'm not going to complain about that either because I'm still a fan of ICP. Now, it's still down by a lot at the end of the day, but as of right now, like we're around 4 times lower than $10. So I feel like if anything, Dfinity seems to be improving. I feel like their computer seems to be improving fundamentally. Yet the price charts are quite low, in which case, in my opinion, I don't view it as a bad thing because if I can accumulate something at a lower point, yet it became better, yeah, I'm not going to complain because I wasn't complaining when I was dollar cost averaging into ICP at like $5, right? So if it became like, I guess half of that approximately, yet the project I felt like became better, like, why would I complain? It's like me complaining in a random, totally make-believe scenario that has nothing to do with this, by the way, right? But if let's say I wanted to buy a bicycle at full price and I liked it anyways and I didn't mind, now that there's a discount, I'm going to suddenly mind, even though it's like basically a bicycle that's exactly the same, or actually, if anything, for this example, the fundamentals improve, right? There's more features, more gadgets, yet there's a discount. There's no way I would complain. But it's of course going to be more of a long-term approach when it comes to me because I don't view this as a moment where, oh, I want to leave in a week, 2 days. No, that's not my style. My style is just, dollar cost averaging over an extended period of time and seeing what happens. That's it. Like I have no immediate need to care about, what could very well happen in a week or 2 weeks and then I have to exit like that. That's not my style. Like for me, I'm literally treating this like just as a long-term thing. That's the way to take a look at it. That's just kind of my mindset. I don't have to do it, right? But that's the way you take a look at it. ICP at this point, I feel like is so low that if it never sees an altcoin season, I have like zero complaints actually, like literally zero. If ICP from this moment on could just maybe go back to $10, which we saw back in 2025, it's not like it's an outlandish amount we've never seen, right? If it literally could just go back to that, like who cares about an altcoin season anymore at that point? But that's assuming I was dollar cost averaging at these moments, right? However, I just want to say thank you for watching and I'll be sure to make more updates. So hopefully y'all stay tuned for that. And yeah, it's Billy the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.